This Russian man has come to Africa to reconquer us as men. This has nothing to do with our women. This has nothing to do with African women. This is all about us. We are weak, pathetic, and this is why our women do not respect us.
Black women's frustrations are not that confusing, and they definitely shouldn't be confusing to black men.
If Barack Obama had ran and his wife was white, would he have gotten that much support from the black community, and specifically black women? That's not unusual. You'll see it with Eve, Serena Williams, Meghan Markle, you name it. A lot of them don't even view it as neutral. They're actually excited.
Now, this is a little bit disappointing. Not the red hat guy himself. Like, I'm not confused or surprised that a dude with a red hat saying "make masculinity great again" has a take like this. Like, I'm not shocked by the take. What's disappointing is that I saw this because the comedian Godfrey picked it up.
And he says, well, if Barack had a white wife, what would have happened? It would have been worse for him. But when it's black women, white men, black women are so supportive. They're like, yeah, girl, and all this other shit.
As you guys know, I'm a resident of Japan, and they just had a huge election. And they obviously chose to do something that's surprising to many people around the world. But me as a resident, a foreign resident here, it's not really my place to comment on it. It's Japanese politics for Japanese people. And I have a similar feeling when people come into the black relationship space from other cultures and want to comment on this extremely complex relationship between black men and black women, and then this extremely complex country that is America with its extremely complex history. How can you come into this conversation and say, black men, you need to do X, Y, and Z because black women need X, Y, and Z when you can't see the full context like this?
People are excited to be lazy about context. They are excited to flatten context. That it gives them a joy to not seem to want to deal in nuance. Here's the thing. In a perfect world, we would all want to support someone regardless of who their wife was. But the idea that there's some sort of confusion about why this conversation even exists is exhausting. There is a very clear reason why there is a different perception of black men dating white women versus black women dating white men. We know there is. We all know there is. And I'm tired of pretending that we don't. For a long time, and I'm not even talking a long time ago, I'm talking, recent relevant history. For a long time, post-civil rights era, black women's bodies and features were demonized in the media. Their curves, their hairstyle, their lips, all of it was treated as ugly.
Speaking of demonization, for those that come into this black male-female conversation space about relationships and don't know the history of our relationship with each other in America, at least do your homework. Because if you did, you'd know that the President of the United States commissioned this image of black men in Birth of a Nation to be viewed in the White House and therefore all around America. Do you think that that made life easy for our great-grandfathers? Or do you think that this hampered their ability to be men?
But also from a generational standpoint. For sure.
I don't have the historical information, man. That's why I'm a listener, man. I'm a great listener. Mm-hmm. But when I hear...
One of the problems with social media is that these days people can espouse an opinion without being well-versed or researched on the situation. This gentleman here admits it before he says his opinion. I guess I can say back in my day now because of the gray in my beard, but when we wrote research papers, we had to write footnotes, we had to write a list of references, and then everyone would read your paper, and then you check the footnotes and make sure that it's accurate, and then you come back and have the conversation. But you don't need to do that now on social media. And so you can get something that goes viral with someone admitting they didn't do the research. And it just sounds good because it makes people feel a certain way instead of being based on fact.
But, when I hear, from your generation, your perspective, and your perspective, and everybody's, perspective in the sense that as we get into it, I feel like we let women down in that regard. We didn't stand on business. And
what you mean by that?
I just feel like we let depression wear us down. Fathers let depression wear them down and beat them down, take them out of the house. And therefore,
no, they forced them out of the house.
Forced them.
No, they had a program. They forced them out. They didn't leave the house.
I feel that. I understand that. I can't, but ain't nobody gonna make me leave my woman.
Nothing will make you leave your woman? I can think of something that would make a black man leave his woman in the 1950s.
One of the most significant moments in Dallas history could happen later on this week. So what's happening here? County commissioners are expected to exonerate a man who was convicted and then executed for a murder the county now says 70 years later that he did not commit.
Looking into his eyes on this film from inside a Dallas courtroom, you can only imagine what was going through the mind of Tommy Lee Walker. His unbroken stare into the camera appears to look for reason and fairness that too often didn't exist in 1956.
The said warden is hereby directed and commanded to pass and cause to be passed through the body of you, Tommy Lee Walker, a current of electricity of sufficient intensity to cause the death of you, Tommy Lee Walker.
A judge sentenced the 21-year-old to death in the electric chair for a murder that overwhelming evidence shows he didn't commit.
It's not difficult to fathom probably what happened. They grabbed the first, quote, Negro, they saw.
Either directly or indirectly, this is the message that I was raised with growing up. Y'all know me, Miss Aisha, licensed therapist, 100% Gen X, Trent, New Jersey. I was raised with the narrative that life is harder for black men.
Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley Price says that period in the city's history was scarred by racial injustice. It was in this part of Northwest Dallas near Love Field in 1953 when a 31-year-old woman was murdered at night while walking to a bus stop. There were no witnesses, no evidence left behind, just racial hysteria and unfounded claims that it was committed by a black man.
That they face discrimination that me as a black woman, I don't face. That they are denied jobs, they are denied access to resources, they are denied loans, they are denied opportunities that I have as a black woman because I'm not seen as threatening, right?
The Klan was basically rampant here.
Tommy Lee Walker lived across town from the murder scene near a park close to Baylor Hospital. He was among countless young black men rounded up for questioning, with some in the white community demanding justice, even at the cost of arresting the wrong man.
But ain't nobody gonna make me leave my woman. I get that, I get it, but ain't nobody gonna make me leave my family. I understand that I could never fathom what went on back then.
9 people confirmed Walker's alibi that on the night of the murder, he was with his pregnant girlfriend who gave birth to their son the next day.
And because of that, I need to lower the standard and lower the bar because I have to keep that reality of racism and discrimination in mind when I'm thinking about black men.
In this video that is interestingly enough called, "Hey, Black Women, Stop Having Sympathy for Black Men," the caption reads, exactly, "Marry whomever you love, but we aren't obligated to embrace less. I'm tired of that. What happened to unequally yoked?"
I think you might be alluding to weak-ass men allowing things that might be coming up. Like, oh, this seems like, I don't know exactly the historical presence of it either. But you know how you say, you stripping us from the house? Oftentimes, I'm a man who dates men. A lot of men are strong. So the way that you say you're not going to take nobody from my family, you're not going to strip me from my family, a lot of people don't walk with that.
Now, do you have anything to say why the sentence of law should not be pronounced against you?
Still, he was arrested 4 months after the crime. He says after hours of threats and promises, he was coerced into giving a false confession that he immediately tried to recant. He professed his innocence to the judge after he was convicted and sentenced to death by an all-white jury.
I feel that I have been tricked out of my life.
Keep that reality of racism and discrimination in mind when I'm thinking about black men. That's the message that I received. I'm only speaking for myself. Y'all let me know if you received that same message growing up.
For a lot of black women, this is definitely the narrative that we were fed growing up. It's hard out there for a black man. Make sure you care for your black man. Fix his plate first. Give him the big piece of chicken because life is hard. Don't call the police on a black man. Don't snitch on a black man. You gotta protect the black man.
For the outsiders, I like to call them, they don't understand the very complex relationship between black men, black women, and the state. That a black man just glancing at a white woman could cost him his life. And so there is a kind of unwritten agreement, at least among the silent generations and into the boomers at least, that if we get into something, we're going to try and keep the state out of it. Because if the state comes into this house, it's very possible that they will take you as a black man and delete you, get rid of you, because they've gotten rid of black men for much, much, much less, as you see in this very unfortunate story. But when many young women decided, you know what, I'm not going to honor that agreement anymore because I can be with other people and they're going to treat me better, or why should I settle for less? They essentially gave black men the ability to say, you know what, if that's the way you're going to let the agreement go away, I'm fine with it. But you don't get us and our protection anymore, so stop whining about it. And that's where you get SYSBM, because black men were willing to say, you know what, this whole situation is just messed up, but we have to have a code in between us that at least you're not going to call the police on me. But when you say that you're going to call the state into our family affairs, that is the deal breaker that has black men getting passports and saying SYSBM.
Dallas County Commissioners passed a symbolic resolution exonerating Tommy Lee Walker. J.D. Miles was at that meeting today where Walker's son was present to see his father's name cleared of that crime.
A compelling moment inside the Dallas County Commissioner's Court.
You gotta protect the black man, but how many of us grew up knowing that actually the world is harder for us? And we're the most disrespected demographic people in the world, black women. And even more so, we learned that black men were a part of the disrespecting of us. I'll never forget back when I was married to my abusive ex-husband. He had choked me and I called the police on him. And I remember his mom yelling at me saying, "You never called the police on a black man." Now here's the thing. That black man knew he was black when he was committing the crime against you. Oh, so now you mistreat me and now I'm supposed to consider you and all the stuff you go through?
Of course, I want to begin by saying I don't condone his physical behavior by any means at all. It's not something that should be tolerated. No one should be putting hands on anyone, to be honest with you. But that said, we know that young women aren't innocent angels anymore. And so if she said something like, oh, by the way, our 9-year-old child isn't your kid, or I've been having relations with my boss for the last year because your member is small, then a guy could snap. Again, a guy shouldn't do that, but let's not be innocent here and think that this woman that's making this video would not do something or say something that would make a man that angry. That said, however, what's more important is that she's admitting to the fact that she's breaking that unwritten rule that the silent gens and the early boomers had, that no matter what we're going through between the two of us, we'll handle it through family, through church, through anyone except the state. Because if we get the state involved, that's essentially me calling the dogs on you. And if they come and hurt you or worse, then so be it. And if that's the case, then that's full means for black men to say, you know what, if you're going to call the state on me, I might as well go and be with anyone else, because that's the unwritten rule that kept us together.
I feel that I have been tricked out of my life.
It was all too much for his son.
I'm 72 years old, and I still miss my daddy.
African men, this man came and reconquered us. He came to Africa to our women, to wear glasses, to our mothers, our sisters, our aunties, our uncles, whatever, because he knows there's absolutely nothing we're going to do. We have no power. We control no aspect of global infrastructure. There's nothing on this planet that you can think about and you will attach to the name of black men when it comes to global infrastructure. What? And we are watching white men come to our land and disrespect our women. Our response to that, oh, look at them, these women are cheap. That's some men
So when people act like black women's reaction to seeing black men with white partners is just random bitterness, it's not. It's all cumulative. It's a reminder of this long history of being told you're less desirable, less feminine, less chosen, sometimes by society at large, and sometimes by men who look like you, who were supposed to be the ones protecting you.
Clifton Powell, the older black gentleman, was basically saying like, oh, the system is set up to where the black man was removed from the household and they wanted us to be separate from our wives and our families. And the younger gentleman, Luke James, is basically saying, I'm paraphrasing here, I don't care about the system. There's nothing that would separate me from my family. And that's the type of energy we need right now.
We risk getting arrested and hurt to protest for violence against black men. But as soon as one of us is violated or hurt, I wonder what she did to deserve it. Well, I heard that she was lying about it. I heard that it was a skit. I heard she was kind of egging him on and taunting and teasing him. She was lying. She probably did something to deserve it. Who's standing up for and putting together a protest for us?
Our generation, I believe, is going to be the last generation who's able to turn the ship around in the Black community. If we don't get it together, I don't think we'll ever get it together. We are going to need more Black men like him to start taking accountability and say, I don't care what the system says. I'm going to fight for the prosperity of my people.
Like, the white women that a lot of these black men are going after don't want them because of the way that they are talking about black women. People are way too excited to take complex generational pain and just turn it into something they can slap around for engagement. And I just find that really disappointing.
Because whenever we start talking about what men can do better or whatever, there's always some dusty talking about, well, the woman could do. Let the woman sort out the woman. We talking about us right now, okay? How can we be better? Let the women handle the women.
You want to be men till it's time to actually be men. Because this man conquered us. If we right now were in another foreign country and this conversation that we're still having, if it was another country right now, every black man in that country would be trying to find a way out. We are weak, pathetic, and this is why our women do not respect us.
We need to be better, okay? Let's focus on us for once.
If you ask most of the men that are in this space, what is that unforgivable thing that happened that made you say, you know what, SYSBM, I'm going to get a passport and go date other women? And it's simply that many young ladies have forgotten that old covenant that black men and black women used to have was broken. And so now you have all of these conflicting voices talking to black women about what they should want from black men without taking historical context into the conversation. If you are a man and you're dealing with what this man's father dealt with in Dallas, that wife, that woman of yours calling the authorities on you is essentially her telling the state to take you out. And so any kind of relationship that black men and black women have has to be filtered through the lens of this is what our grandparents and our parents have dealt with. And even still today, when you make that phone call to the authorities, and if you're crying as a woman, you're essentially saying, state, come take this man and have him taken care of. And if that agreement is not there anymore, then men are going to walk away from this.
Ted Smith broke down talking about the father he barely remembers.
They give your father the electric chair. For something he didn't do. It hurts every time I talk about it because I miss my father. I miss him dearly.
This story of a man being exonerated 70 years after he sat on the electric chair is emblematic of that tenuous relationship that black men have had with the state. And so when black men think of any kind of contract with the state, be it child support, marriage, divorce, etc., even getting involved with criminal activities, it's always a very scary proposition for black men. And so any woman that threatens to involve the state in the matters of a black man is essentially challenging his freedom, if not his very life. But when a black woman does it, that's essentially her saying, I know of the history between the state and black men, but I don't care. I want what I want, and if you're not going to be the kind of man that I want or need, I'll call the state on you to get the resources I can get out of you. And if that is the case, and you're going to go around saying that a boy like this grew up without his father because his dad was a deadbeat, instead of saying he grew up without his father because I involved the state and maybe I shouldn't have, then black men might as well go date anyone that can call the state, right? Because at one particular point, it should be mutually agreed upon. Black men in America have had a very difficult time, and if anyone is not going to call the state on black men, it's black women. And if black women say, you know what, I will call the state on you, then black men say, hey, listen, you go out into that world, go live your best life, and maybe it won't be black men ending up crying in the end next time.
I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot in my teenage phase. I went through a lot in my 20s. I made a lot of mistakes, and there was a lot of people who drugged me through the dirt for it. And I believed it for a long time. I wasn't nice to myself because of what others said about me until I knew who I really was and whose I really was, which is yours, Lord. Now nobody can shake how I feel about myself. Nobody can change how I feel about myself. Nobody can change how I view myself.
I want to give a message to my African brothers about the Russian guy that's going around the continent having his pick of young ladies. That is not on you. If these women are going to sign up for feminism, they have to eat the whole pie. They got to eat the whole dinner. If you want the freedom, you have to deal with what comes with the freedom of choosing guys to be with, and then guys saying, you know what, I don't see you as a wife. I don't want to take care of you. I just want to have a good time with you, like the couple of guys before you did. That is not on men. And this preaching the idea that real men are controlling their women, that is the opposite of feminism, which many young ladies have fought against. If they're going to own feminism, they got to own all of it. And that means they have to be more discretionary with the decisions they make. And so instead of seeing a man crying because the state took away his father, we're seeing young women now cry because they want to redo their youth, because they know that that control that a father or a patriarch would have exerted would have probably gotten them married off to a guy who cared about them and would have taken care of them. But instead, many young ladies are walking around saying, I don't care about the environment. I don't care what you dealt with. I want what I want, and I'm going to get it no matter what. And for the guy that might care about her that's not rich yet, or the guy who would be her patriarch, but she doesn't respect patriarchs, he doesn't have the opportunity to tell her, hey, listen, I'm not rich. I'm not powerful. I didn't head an army of a Western nation that had a lot of guns when other people were doing stuff besides practicing warfare. Sorry we lost the war, but as a patriarch, as a father, as a man, this is the best way to move forward. Young women have rejected that. They have called those men weak. Even other men have been instructed by those women to call those men weak. And so men are taking a step back. Men are getting passports. Men are dating out. Men are doing SYSBM. And it's going to be a new generation of young ladies looking for covering. And it's not going to be there because the men that fought through the oppression and the difficulties that America offered to black men are taking a step back and saying, listen, you didn't value what I brought to the table anyway. So now we get to see how strong these women are without all of these quote unquote weak ass black men. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you next video. Take care, guys.